Okay, so now we're going to deal with what the water will look like normally and what will it look like in the edge, and then we'll be able to blend that with the depth fade node. So we're going to use the colours using vectors. So vector, parameter, and we'll call it one edge colour. And then we'll just create a new one. Vector, parameter, parameter, and that one is going to be called main colour. And again, we're going to give these a colour. So this one is going to be sort of a grey colour. So we'll do 0.4, 0.4, 0.4. And this is going to be a very, very pale blue colour. So let's 0.1, 0.3, 0.6. Make that a little darker. You can tweak these. You can tweak these values. I'll just tweak that a little bit. Make it a little bit darker, a bit more blue. Probably more grey than that. Anyway. We'll leave it like that for now. Okay. And then we'll create another layer. Effectively, we're doing roughly the same. We're going to blend the edge colour and the main colour. And what you can also do, you can take data from this. I'm just going to double click on that node, and we can drag from there and that to there. So effectively, it's using the same values, and then we're going to pipe that into the pipe it into the base colour to show that to that in a second. Okay, so we put that into the base colour, and this section we're going to put into the opacity. Just apply that, and that will save that. Again, it might take a little bit of time for the shader to be calculated because it's doing quite a lot of complex things. So we'll come back to that in a second. Okay, so I've just added a few more pieces of geometry to the scene. So we've got the plane, which has got the water tutorial material on it already, and we've got a couple of objects in here. And as you can see, we've got a sort of a base colour for the water, and we've got this nice blend happening on the edge. Okay, so it makes it more, it creates more opacity as you get further out. So obviously, where it's near the edge, there's more, there's less transparency near the edge. Okay. And we've got a couple of items in the water, so once we start putting the transparency on the objects and refraction to the water, you'll see some distortion. Okay. So we'll carry on with water, but before we do that, we're going to create an instance. We'll create an instance. And I'll just try to show it again. So if you right click, you can just say create instance of material. This becomes important because obviously if you've got some parameters on it, we can change them and we don't need to recompile. So I'm just going to apply that instance to the water. I'll just save that. And if you go to the instance, you can see that you can change the parameters that we set before. Okay, on the instance, but we won't do that just yet, but you can do that afterwards, and you can have a look at the instance, see what it looks like in real time. We'll save that. Okay, so go back to our initial material. Now remember, we're working with the water tutorial material, not the instance. The instance will be updated every time we update the original texture. Let's go back to the texture. So here we are now. We're now going to focus our attention on how do we make the water ripple and move, give it some dynamic capabilities. Okay, so I'm going to start to create that part in this section. Okay, so first of all we need a texture coordinates. So we'll just say texture coordinates. Okay. And we're going to have a multiply. All multiply does is multiply one value by another value. Okay. And then we need a scalar parameter. So scalar parameter connected to that. And we're going to call that wave scale. And that will determine the size of the textures of the water. Okay, and we'll put that as a default value of 3, and you can always change that. Next in, we're going to apply it to this called panner. What that does is that actually moves the mapping coordinates. And we want to put a time input into here, so we're going to add a time, and that takes the default time. It counts. And then we're going to multiply that by, in fact you can duplicate and multiply. And that will add it up to time. And then we're going to add a constant. We don't want to go in too fast, so what 0.03. Again, you can change that value if you wish. You can try it out and see what it looks like. And then we'll wire that up to time. I'm not going to move these around a little bit, give you more space. And then finally, we want water speed, which will be another parameter. Water speed. And then we want to put that as 0.5. Again, that can be changed. So that will determine the speed at which the texture coordinates move. And then we're going to put those coordinates into a texture sample. Now then inside this texture sample, we're going to put the normal of our water. Okay. So I've already got that already loaded in. So if I select the texture sample and then drop this menu bar down, we can just select the texture normal. There's our texture normal there. And then we'll move on to the next part in a second.